Hi guys, my name is Rustam Kasimdzhanov and today I will present you with my selection of the openings of 2015. Well, lots of interesting games were played naturally and lots of interesting openings, so it's very difficult to come up with a definite selection, but I have picked my favorites. So you probably also noticed that the English opening C4 is extremely popular these days, and there are lots of high quality battles, especially in the main lines which come after E5. So in this reverse Sicilian, lots of interesting games, lots of top players are playing this with white. Carlsen, Aronian, even Vishy Anand is doing this with white, and a terrain for very interesting theoretical clashes. And my personal favorite of the year in this opening was the game Hizmatulin-Tomaszewski, which continued knight f3, knight c6, g3 and bishop b4, bishop g2, castle, castle and e4, knight g5. Some of you probably remember this was the old theoretical line which was still played in Kasparov-Karpov in the World Championship matches and other interesting encounters, and now we have a certain revival of this opening. Bishop c3, bc, rook e8, and after f3, the move e3 used to exist, but now it is considered dubious, so black takes ef, knight f3, and this position became one of the main positions of the English opening nowadays. And black can play different lines here. I think d5 is one of the ways to play it. And now white can continue d4 and try to go bishop g5. Things like this. Things get very interesting very quickly here. But in this game, Tomaszewski played queen e7. And after e3, knight e5, knight d4, d6, d3, he produced a very interesting positional pawn sacrifice, played c5, knight f5, bishop f5, rook f5 and d5. And after cd, c4, whatever white does, black gets some excellent squares for his knights, and it's very difficult for white to do something about it. In the game d4 happened, knight d3, and black got the square d3 and the square e4 for his knights. Basically a strategic dream for any player, and black went on to win this game very nicely, and this game made quite an impression on me back then. So this was the first opening which I present today, the English with c4. The other openings are also quite entertaining. One of the really major openings nowadays against d4 is Ragozin, and after d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3 and bishop b4. This position is more or less the starting position for the Ragozin, although different move orders are possible. And this line also is being employed by a lot of top players out there. Vishy Anand plays it regularly, the world champion Magnus Carlsen, Anish Giri, Levon Aronian. So basically everybody at the very top is employing Ragozin, and for a long time white really couldn't find anything convincing against this, and then the game played at the World Rapid Championship caught my attention. The young Grandmaster Dubov, playing against Vishy Anand, played bishop g5 here, h6, bishop f6, queen f6, e3, and after castles, rook c1, dc, bishop c4, c5, castle cd, knight e4, queen e7. In this position, white played a3, which was a reasonably new idea, bishop a5, and queen takes d4. And here, of course, black has a lot of ways to continue, but this being a rapid game, Vishy played the natural rook d8, queen e5, knight c6, queen h5, and suddenly it turned out that white has a very poisonous idea at his disposal. After bishop d7, he suddenly played g4, and it turned out that the attack with g5 is just extremely strong, and Vishy Anand could not stop white's attack. So this game definitely made a strong impression, and Ragozin was and remains one of the top choices for black against d4. The other way for white to play on move 4 is g3, the evergreen Catalan, and this opening also is now being employed extremely successfully at the highest level. And in the classical Catalan, the one I play myself with black, after bishop e7, bishop g2, castle, castle, dc, queen c2, a6, a4. Now there have been a lot of interesting games, and it turns out that this position is very difficult for black to play strategically. And amongst other, one of the most successful players of 2015, Grandmaster Pavel Elyanov, continuously poses problems to black players. So here, after bishop d7, queen takes c4, bishop c6, bishop g5, bishop d5, queen c2, and queen c1 was the course of the game Elyanov Nakamura. And black decided not to exchange his bishop, placed it on h7, and hoped to keep his two bishops and some harmonious play. But after knight b3, c6, queen c3, white placed his knights extremely actively, and a very unusual strategic decision to play knight b7 and to play with the rook for two bishops, at the end of the day proved successful, and Pavel Elyanov went on to win a beautiful game. And I believe this opening will remain also in the future one of white's most serious tries to fight for advantage. So this is our opening, our third opening, which I present today, the Catalan, and after that let's get to the 1e4. And in 1e4, of course, black has lots of different openings, but more or less two very major directions have established at the top level. Top players either play e5 or c5, and after e4, c5, it seems at the moment Najdorf is doing extremely well. Lots of high-class encounters. Maxim Vachier-Lagrave and Alexander Grishuk, now also Anish Giri, to name just a few, are playing this opening very successfully with black. And for me personally, the highlight of the year in this opening was my own game against Karakin. I played bishop c4, and this, well, now there's a pretty rare line, is still enjoyed by club players throughout the world, and I myself, I like to play it occasionally. And after e6, castle, b5, bishop b3, bishop e7, we got into one of the main positions of this line. I've also played like this previously against Boris Gelfand, not very successfully, and this time I introduced a semi-new idea, knight ce2, and after king h8, bishop g5, well, black probably can play this better, but after a few inaccurate moves, I had a very serious pressure on the black pawn d6, and went on to win my first ever tournament win against Sergei Karyakin. So this makes it a pretty emotional day for me, and a highlight of Najdorf as far as I'm concerned. And also otherwise in 2015 there were a great number of interesting games in Najdorf, so this opening definitely deserves to be included in the openings of the year. And finally, nowadays you cannot make any opening survey without mentioning the Berlin, the favorite choice of top players against 1e4, and after e4, e5. In Berlin, a lot of things started to happen recently, and in 2015 quite some games were actually lost by black in the very main system, in the endgame itself. So after castles, knight e4, knight f5, of course a lot of things are possible here. The game that caught my attention was the game Adams-Aronian, where a pretty innocuous looking position where black got rid of his doubled pawns, seemingly developed all his pieces, turned out to be very dangerous to play, and turned out that the black's rook on h5 and partly also the knight on f5 are not where they want to be. I mean, ideally black would like his knight to be on e6 and then everything would be okay, but as it is, a slight lack of harmony in black's position gave white a powerful initiative on the queen side, and till the end of this game Levon Aronian was not able to solve his problems with the coordination of his pieces. So let me quickly repeat the openings of 2015 in my opinion. So the classical English, mainly the position after c4 e5 or c4 knight f6 knight c3 e5, then the Ragozin, knight c3 and bishop b4, the evergreen Catalan, especially the main line as played by Elianov against Nakamura, e4 c5, the Najdorf, probably the sharpest weapon black has against one e4, and the top choice at the highest level, the Berlin. So in my opinion, these are the 5 openings of 2015. Now it's your turn, it's your decision. Please vote for the opening of 2015. I was happy to present you with my selection. Thanks and goodbye.